Today on The Spot, we'll check out some of Nikola Tesla's coolest inventions, discover some common solutions to keep those pesky pests out, and find out why fluoroscopes were such a bad idea in shoe stores. All this and more coming up now on The Spot. This is the world we live in. How well do you know it? Well, we're about to find out. This is On the Spot. Let's take a look at the science of mad science. Anger causes the release of what into your blood? Melanin, selenin, or adrenaline? When you get angry, your body goes into fight or flight mode, releasing adrenaline to get you ready. It also releases a hormone called cortisol. That's the stuff that helps the body shut down everything that's not needed to survive right now. One of those things is your immune system. True or false? Humans can catch mad cow disease. Let's just say you should think twice before eating your next burger. The answer is true. Humans absolutely can catch it. And it's pretty much fatal. We contract it by eating parts from cows that have it, even if it's cooked. Luckily, food production is highly regulated, so there's little chance you'll catch it. True or false? Mad cow disease is caused by a virus. That's false. But it's not a bacteria either, because cooking food doesn't help. It's actually something much worse than a bacteria or virus. It's a prion. Your body builds all of the cell stuff it needs using proteins. But prions come along and change the shape of the proteins, turning them into, well, more prions. And your brain doesn't stand a chance. Since we're already down on a cellular level, true or false? Your cells contain actual working machines. That's true. They're called molecular machines, and they're tiny. One of these is ATP synthase. It's the one that generates almost all of your body's energy. Incredibly, the entire machine is one large molecule. Every cell in your body has millions of these molecular recharging machines constantly spinning away. On a molecular level, magnetic forces are a big deal. What is this stuff? A breathing fluid, an electrofluid, or a ferrofluid? That's a magnetic fluid known as a ferrofluid. With a powerful magnet near it, the fluid becomes magnetized. That's because it's got iron particles suspended inside. That means you can make a liquid into a solid by applying a magnetic force. Then you can make it liquid again by removing the magnet. And speaking of making solid things liquid, what is a transorbital lobotomy? A modern neurological procedure, a future neurological treatment, or a primitive neurological nightmare? Oh, it's a nightmare, all right. The lobotomy is a procedure where a doctor inserts a tool into a patient's frontal lobe and literally scrambles the brain matter. The transorbital kind was done by using ice pick-like tools inserted just in front of the eyeball. Madness treating madness, it was later called. Lobotomies went away because they're awful and humans discovered other treatments. And hey, speaking of cures, what is a nootropic? A drug to help you think, a drug to enhance your drink, or a drug to cure your stink? Nootropics, also known as smart drugs, are designed to help patients overcome a disability and help enhance cognition. So, it's a drug to help you think. Now, don't go thinking this is the easy way to take over the world. Eating a pill won't make you a genius, but drinking a cup of coffee might help you concentrate because caffeine isn't quite a nootropic, but it's close. Suppose you did become a mad scientist. You definitely need one of these. But what is this? Jacob's Ladder, Jacob's Arc, or Jacob's Spark? It's Jacob's Ladder. So what's it for? Absolutely nothing, actually. It was just used in old movies because it looks cool. There's a lot of electricity used here. What is this thing? A sparking Tesla pole, an arcing Tesla coil, or a conducting Tesla tower? Inventor Nikola Tesla had the idea to transmit electricity wirelessly. He envisioned large towers that would convert and transmit electricity like radio waves. The Tesla coil is kind of like a mini version of that grand idea. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and stuff still has to be plugged in or battery operated. Here's something else that gets plugged in: to your brain. True or false? New prosthetics allow people to actually feel objects. That's true. The newest prosthetic limbs are plugged directly into the nervous system. Not only can they move based on human thought, users can actually feel what their robot hand is touching. Amazing! You got problems? Well, we've got solutions in this round of Problem and Solution. Here we go. Problem: moths or beetles eating holes in wool clothes. Solution: keep clothes in the dark or put clothes in the freezer. To kill any moth or beetle eggs hiding in your favorite wool sweater, try putting it in the freezer for a few days. The colder the freezer, the less time you'll have to leave it in there. But you should probably give it 48 hours at the minimum. Oh, and if you don't have room in your freezer, heat works too. Try putting them in a hot attic or leaving them in your car during the summer months. Now, most moths are drawn to light, right? And if you're trying to enjoy a campfire and getting bombarded by moth visitors, there is a humane way to trap them. Problem: annoying moths. Solution: hang a white sheet or hit them with a fly swatter. We said humane, so put the fly swatter down. There you go. It's simple. Just hang up a white sheet away from where you're sitting and shine a UV light on it. The white sheet on its own will likely work, but moths are more interested in cool lights and UV. They'll flock to the sheet and hang out there for the rest of the night. Some insect visitors are a bit more persistent. Problem: ants invade your kitchen. Solution: dump cinnamon on them or dump baking soda and powdered sugar on them. Sorry, trick question. Both of these pantry staples will help repel ants. You can sprinkle them with cinnamon, and then when they walk back to the nest, other ants will avoid them and their trail because they don't like the smell. And a line of cinnamon at the place they're entering the house should keep them out. And a mixture of powdered sugar and baking soda can kill them at the source. The powdered sugar attracts them, and when they carry it back to the nest and eat it, the baking soda reacts with the acid in their stomachs, and they more or less explode. Baking soda is kind of a super solution, and you can use it for all kinds of cleaning, deodorizing, and personal care. Problem: your drain is clogged. Solution: pour in baking soda and vinegar, or pour in vegetable oil and dish soap. Here's what you need: a chemical reaction that happens when you add vinegar to baking soda to disengage a nasty clog. Of course, baking soda is called baking soda, and its primary function is as a baking ingredient. So when your recipe calls for baking soda, but you use it all up cleaning the house, what do? Problem: you're out of baking soda. Solution? Substitute baking powder or substitute salt. Well, even though they're not the same thing, you can substitute baking powder. You just might want to use a little extra, and it might taste a little differently. But what if your recipe calls for baking powder and you don't have any in the house? Problem: you're out of baking powder. Solution? Substitute baking soda or add cream of tartar to baking soda. Mix 1 part baking soda with 2 parts cream of tartar and voila! Your cake will rise. So let's take these pantry items and a few more cleansers and put them to work. It's time for our problem and solution speed round called Get That Stain. Ready, set, get it! Put stain remover on the same side as the stain or the back side of the stain. Put it on the back, and the stain remover will soak through and push the stain off the front. What would you use to remove a blood stain? Hot water or cold water? Cold. Hot can cause the stain to set. Run it under cold water and scrub with a little detergent. If it's stubborn, add hydrogen peroxide. If it's old dried blood, try soaking it in a bucket of warm water first. And finally, what should you use to remove rust? Bleach or lemon juice and salt? For rust on your clothes, sprinkle salt on the stain. Then squeeze lemon juice on it and leave it out in the sun. Bleach can make the stain worse. Your time is up. History's full of great ideas and thinkers. Some help humans in immeasurable ways, and others, well, don't. Time to learn about some of history's bad ideas. In 1962, the car company Volvo gave away a patent potentially worth millions of dollars. Was that a bad idea? Nope. It was an incredibly good idea. The patent was for the 3-point seatbelt. They thought it was too important to hold on to, so they let the rest of the world use the idea for free. They even sent the inventor on a worldwide tour to demonstrate its use. People didn't use seat belts much back then because there weren't as many safety standards. A poorly made lap belt could often cause more damage than the accident itself. The new seat belt helped change that. In the late 1800s, the president of Western Union saved his company $100,000 by not buying a patent. Was that a bad idea? Bad idea. Really bad. The person trying to sell him the patent was Alexander Graham Bell, and the patent was for the telephone. At the time, Western Union had a monopoly on the telegraph business. Pretty much all communication was done through them. But when the phone came along, everything changed. 2 years after turning down the offer, the president of Western Union said he'd consider $25 million a bargain. But by then, Bell wasn't in the selling mood. During the Great Depression, the government put tons of people in the southern U.S. to work by paying them to plant kudzu, a leafy vine plant from Japan. Was that a bad idea? The kudzu is a ridiculously tough plant that thrives in the weather and soil in the south. Plus, it can grow up to a foot in 1 day. And now, the entire southern United States is completely overrun by the kudzu vine, and its growth can't be stopped. It costs electric utilities millions of dollars each year just to remove the stuff from power lines. And that's just one industry. Monumentally bad idea. Seemed like a great idea at the time, though. In the early 1800s, people were scared to ride on trains that were faster than 10 miles per hour, thinking that the incredible speed would tear them apart. Was that a bad idea? That's actually a really good idea. While it seems silly now, at the time, it was serious business. Serious because the idea of passenger safety was pretty low on the priority list, and it forced people to think differently. We eventually figured out that it's not speed that can hurt a person. It's actually the rapid acceleration that causes problems. Oh, and also all the crashing. In the early 1900s, a 26-year-old German man had an idea about light, that it traveled at the same speed no matter how you look at it. Good idea or not? Good idea. Actually, one of the best ideas ever had by a human being in the history of humans. Period. The guy was Albert Einstein, and he went on to prove it too. By proving that light moves at the same speed no matter what, he was eventually able to prove that E does, in fact, equal mc squared. And that means that energy and mass are two different versions of the exact same thing. And that changed the world. In the 1960s, the CIA launched a program called Acoustic Kitty. They surgically implanted microphones inside a cat's ears. Then, they trained the cat to eavesdrop on the Russians. So, bad idea? Bad idea. Just so bad. The first acoustic kitty they deployed to spy on the Russians was run over by a passing taxi. They soon decided, after spending $20 million 1960s dollars, that cats simply couldn't be trained to do that sort of thing. Mainly because, well, they're cats. In October 1959, a guy in Australia named Thomas Austin released 24 wild rabbits on his property so he could hunt them. Bad idea or not? Bad. So very bad. Those 24 rabbits reproduced exponentially and completely wrecked parts of Australia's ecology. Like furry locusts, they ate everything, killing the plants that hold the soil in place. Essentially, leaving an eroded wasteland in their wake. Great job there, Thomas. Really, great job. In 1867, a Swedish chemist patented something he called Nobel's blasting powder. Bad idea or not? Nope, it was a great idea. That chemist was called Alfred Nobel. You might remember him from the famous prize in science that's given in his name. Nobel's blasting powder was actually dynamite. Dynamite was a great idea because it basically made destroying stuff safe. Before dynamite, various unsafe chemicals were used that often produced unpredictable results. Dynamite made everything safer because it was strictly controlled and didn't randomly explode. Shoe stores in the 1950s once used a machine called a fluoroscope to help people fit their shoes. With a fluoroscope, people could see the bones of their feet inside the shoe. Bad idea or not? Terrible idea. Why? Because the fluoroscope uses X-rays to see inside the customer's shoe. Customers would stick their feet into holes in the bottom of the machine. Then, the fluoroscope would shoot X-rays up through the foot and allow the customer to see how well the shoe actually fit. Clever idea, except for the fact that the fluoroscope shot deadly cancer-causing radiation everywhere. Fluoroscopes are banned today, but if it wasn't for all the cancer, they'd be a really cool idea. Quick, here's one more medical discovery that turned out to be one of the best accidents in history. Do you know what it is? It's penicillin. The drug was developed by Scottish researcher Alexander Fleming in 1928. Often described as a careless lab technician, Fleming left his work for a 2-week vacation, only to return to find that a mold had developed on an accidentally contaminated Staphylococcus culture plate. There was just one thing. The mold seemed to have prevented the bacteria from growing. Fleming had discovered the world's first antibiotic, which has now saved more than 200 million lives. Not necessarily the best idea, but not bad for an accident. Stay sharp, because you never know when you'll be on the spot.